So I just want to formalize this notion a little bit more. It's something that I've kind of felt was right, but I haven't been able to contextualize it. And it's a silly little, perhaps a silly little notion on some levels, but I think it does play some important roles, perhaps. And it's on post-it, the post-it human, and mammal and reptile. And I'm trying to show a parallel here between those levels to both build clarity as to what I'm talking about, even though it some levels confuses things, but also build strength for the overall theory, because if there's more and more patterns that fall out of it, then I think it adds strength to the concept that I'm trying to present. So it's beings. I'm going to say there's its beings, which would be essentially a bird. A bird, in my opinion, is a transitionary being between reptiles and mammals. And why I say that is that the bird shows some care, typically, for their young, in that they get food for them. So it's starting the emotive process that you really see developing in mammals. But there's not, it's just regurgitation of food. It's not a lot of help, but it's some. It's more than most reptiles, where a lot of them will eat their young. So that's the its beings. And then the its beings would include beings like dolphins, chimps, in my opinion. Chimps are maybe moving into the next one. Same with dolphins, but particularly bats. I think they're a really good example. And those elephants, sort of both of them. They'll sometimes I think they can be self-reflexive, and sometimes they're not quite. So back and forth on that. So what these beings do is that they have a high level of social connectivity and social intelligence, much in the way that birds seem to have, the flocking patterns and these sorts of things. This social understanding, the objectifying in a certain way of the constructs that they were built into, allows them to see the new vistas. So there's a flying. It takes, in a physical sense, this is the gesture to fly. Birds are flying to a new territory, a new way of thinking. Bats are flying to a new territory, a new way of thinking. I believe that birds are a necessary step, in that you need the birds, because that's purely, essentially, instinctual and highly genetically based. When you get into mammals, they can do that emotionally. They can start to, elephants and dolphins don't really need to fly. They're emotionally moving into a new territory, but they're not flying into it. But bats are a good expression of it, because they both have some degree of emotive capacity, this mammalian, but they're also flying. So this double. And then when you get into humans, the postmodern human is the its human, in the sense that they've objectified culture, the mimetic culture of mind, essentially. It's become flat. That's why flatland is really good as a descriptor of actually that territory. So you get the aviators. They're trying to fly to some place new. Where can we go from here? What? And this is an irrational. We haven't developed physiological wings. It's not really necessary, and you can think through this, like the Da Vinci's, early postmodern thinkers. These beings are ones that are thinking through the new domain, in a sense. And we can emotionally go there too. So we have three. layers that we can play with here. But the actual aviators are sort of the ones that are doing the real physical flying. And then from there, we're actually moving into an its structure, in my opinion, on a whole. Humans have been in the domain of it as a primary focus, as the major focus, and then within that there's the fractal patterns that take place. So the aviators at the end of the it, of the major, of the techno mind, of the tool-making mind. And then when we're moving into next is the focus of its. So in a sense, it's all a flight to what's next, because this whole thing is a box at that point, in a certain way. So this whole next territory is one of total flight, and where to.